I would like to first thank you for giving us some of your very valuable time and joining this session. I really welcome you, sir. Now, coming to the topic around which today's session would revolve, that is decoding budget 2020 and 2021. As all of us know that this year our annual budget was declared by our current financial minister on 1st of February. So being management student, it becomes very important for all of us to get into root analysis of this budget. So Prithvi sir is present here to help us on that. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, organizers, and really happy to be here. What we will do is we have very limited time. I'll quickly explain you the budget with various concepts which are related to the budget. I think after that you will be in a position to understand the budget, right? And as you know, we are still in a difficult time. The difficult time is not yet over, and in that situation, and on the 1st of February, our finance minister has presented a budget. So we need to understand what is the reality, what is the situation in the country, and what kind of constraints are there, whether our finance minister is facing or the entire country is facing. We as a management students need to appreciate those issues. So keeping that thing in the mind, so I am trying to explain you the budget. And intention is not to exactly critically analyze the budget. Intention is to explain you the budget concept so that you will be able to appreciate, right? So keeping that thing in the point of view, basically this is a learning exercise from the perspective of a students. From students point of view, I am only trying to explain you. I am going to share the screen with you right now. Let us start it. Just give me a moment for sharing the screen. I think now screen is visible to all of you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, friends. As you know, budget was presented by our Honorable Finance Minister, uh, Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman, has presented on 1st of February 2021. So every year this project is presented. Okay, and before understanding the project, what we will try to do, let us learn the background and the challenges that are faced by the finance minister or the country is facing. What is the background of the budget? First, we'll try to understand. Then it will be very easier for us to appreciate the budget. And when I say about the background, what I'm exactly trying to explain you that I'm trying to explain you exactly the economic survey, right? So I'll take you through some of the key aspects of economic survey. Then we'll try to understand the project. This background knowledge is important for us. Then only it will be easier for us to appreciate the project. Okay, this economic survey you can find it internet also. Government publishes various statistical data and economic survey, and this data which I am going to show you, it has been captured from those sources only. Okay, first let me take you to the last chapter of the economic survey, which is published by government. Right, it is the 10th chapter. As you see, what can you see the title of the chapter? Can you respond?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah,
The bare necessities.
bare necessity. So this chapter talks about bare necessity. This chapter starts with this old jungle book saying, you can read it. Look at the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean bare necessities. So here, government trying to analyze that to what extent our country is capable, or to what extent our country has provided minimum, that is bare necessity to the citizens, right? So access to bare necessities, meaning that necessities like housing, water, sanitation, electricity, and this thing, availability of clean fuel, all these things are required to live a decent life. So this particular chapter of economic survey exactly explains to what extent this bare, what extent we have progressed in providing these kind of bare necessities to our citizens, right? As you know, almost 75 years are over since independence. But if you try to analyze where we stand, I'm showing you a picture. This picture shows the comparison of this BNI index. BNI stands for Bare Necessities Index. Okay. By seeing this by comparing this index, we'll be able to learn or able to understand to what extent we have progressed in providing bare necessities to our people. And this particular picture, you can see this is in 2012. 2012, this was the situation. The situation shows the red color means BNI was below 0.5. Okay. So that is a very, you can say, low level BNI. So these are the states which were coming under that category. Right. But today, you see, the latest data is available for 2018. This is the latest data which is published in the Economic Survey Report of Government of India. So this shows so many green zones have developed, you see, but still there are some red zones. Most of the zones are yellow zones, right? And this particular picture shows that in the states of Kerala, Punjab, Haryana, and Gujarat, government or the, let us say, country have made substantial progress in providing bare necessities. But whereas this index is poor in the states of Odisha, Jharkhand, West Bengal, and Tripura. So now I think you got a basic understanding that where we stand, right? Our state is here. So you are able to understand now our position. Okay. Is it clear up to you? So we are trying to understand the background. Okay.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now that is one aspect we have understood. Then one more thing I would also like to tell you. This is about countries' credit rating. Why countries' credit rating is important, we'll be learning. So this impact shows a kind of creditworthiness of the country. Okay, this particular data which I'm going to show you, this is also captured from the Economic Survey of India. That chapter starts with a very good caption of our Gurudev Rabindranath Thakur. What he has said, this has been referred, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, into that heaven of freedom, my father, let my country away. The chapter starts like this. After that, it has been explained where we stand in the credit rating. And you will find, if you look at the credit rating, our credit rating is here, BBB minus or Baa3. Two different credit agencies have rated like this. And let me explain you, this is the lowest rung in investment grade. That means if our rating falls little below that, then nobody is going to invest in our country. So we are at that stage. Okay, of course, we are the fifth largest economy of the world, but you see, this is the credit rating we have. Got it? And if you consider the economic size of the country, so normally in this size of economy, the repayment capacity of the country is normally high, and predominantly these kind of countries are rated at AAA. So instead of AAA, our rating is here. Okay. So if I compare, you see, normal, can you see this chart now? So this kind of large economy, normal, it is expected credit rating should be here. China, of course, had a credit rating of A or A-2. That was also, China was also in the top 5 economic countries. But India's position, you see, is here, BBB minus or Baa3. Okay. Now,
Yes, sir.
if you want to understand what is the meaning of this credit rating, you see these are two rating agencies who have done country's credit rating. Our position is here, BBB minus Baa. That means adequate payment capacity. Now country is capable of making payment, right? But if it goes slightly below that, it comes to non-investment category or specific category. So we are at that risk. That we are at that risk. If it falls little down, then it will become to the speculative category. That it will invite some kind of uncertainty. Consequently, people may not be interested to make any investment in this country. Now, did you understand the importance of credit rating?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we are
Yes, sir.
talking about country-specific credit rating. We need to understand that. Then only we'll be able to appreciate the various concepts of project. Okay, so you see, we are here, BAAA3, or different credit agencies Ratings are also available here. Okay, our rating is Baa3, which signifies lower medium grade, which is just above the non-investment or speculative grade. Below that, as you know, the grade is non-investment or speculative grade. Okay, if country goes there, it will be very difficult to attract investment. This is the credit rating data from 1998 to 2020. You can have a look at this. Okay, this also shows our position. Right, now third thing we would like to show you, our GDP. This is the historical data about GDP from 1990 to 2020. Okay, so on an average growth over a period of time, to take period, normally we assume that GDP growth rate is around 6%. Okay, on an average, historically you say, normally country shows average growth rate of 6%. But unfortunately, recently, most of you might be aware that our GDP growth is almost negative. Okay, almost about minus 10%. But here it is expected that in future, almost it will take a V shape. So we are expecting in this budget also, we are estimating, or the country is estimating, that growth will be around, GDP growth will be around 11% positive. Okay, so minus 10% to 11% positive, that is the plan. Okay, understood? So this is as per budget estimate. Of course, entire world, if you see this particular graph, this particular line, are you seeing? This is the GDP of the entire world. Entire world also, it is expected, it has also gone down. India GDP had also gone down, right? And everybody is expecting that it will pick up. India is also expecting it is pick up, and for that, planning has been made in the budget. Okay, so GDP, I think you have understood, right, friends? What is GDP? If you want to have some brief idea, this is in fact the monetary value of all finished goods and services produced within the boundaries of the country during a particular particular period in a country. How much goods and services are produced, that value is explained in the GDP. That in fact explains the financial health of the country. It is a you can say snapshot of the economic health of the country. There are various methods of computation of GDP. We will not enter into that. Just let us have this idea that GDP was negative, let us say around 10%, but we are planning to move to positive 11%. Okay, now next, one more important concept we need to understand, the position of inflation. This is, you see, the inflation, two kinds of inflation. One is customer price index, data is shown here. This one, red line, and the blue line is customer food price index. Okay, you can have some brief idea about the inflation. And already I think you see inflation is going down. It had gone up. Now gradually it is coming down. We'll see the exact data of the inflation. I think you know what is inflation. Inflation means prices of goods and services are increasing over a period of time, meaning the purchasing power of money is decreasing. Okay, the declining of the purchasing power is referred to as inflation. Okay, and this, yeah. Now, if I at this stage, if you try to summarize the overall things what we have learned in the economic survey, that we are expecting a growth of around 11 to 11.5%. Right, as I told you, GDP was, you see here it is negative, minus 7.7, and we are expecting a growth of 11%. Right, inflation has gone up, but it is expected to maintain it maybe around 4 to 5%. And you know, the Sensex, which shows the let us say capital market of the country, had gone up substantially. Right, if you compare on 1 year basis, then 69% growth. Central government's borrowing has increased. Tax revenue has also been increased. These are some key takeouts of the economic survey. Just I'm giving you some idea. And a few more things also we need to understand about the background. Credit rating, as I told you. Country's forex reserve has gone up, and India is now the 5th largest economy. And it stands as 48th rank. in the innovation index. So these are some statistics we should just keep in the mind. Okay, having understood this, now we have to see in that position, if that is the position, what should be the focus of the government and how government is planning to address the issue. First, any government will definitely try to ensure growth. Is it not? And here also that has been addressed, you see, how to address the growth. Situation now you have already know. This is the situation, country situation. Okay. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, at this situation, it is highly essential to focus on the growth. Country's economy should grow. Then what is more important, equally important, you can say, that there is a need to control inflation also. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
definitely. So these are the things which a finance minister should ideally address. Then you have to handle the people also. You need to keep people happy. Otherwise, it will affect election. Meaning government has to take care of election. He has to make the people happy. And one more thing also, he has to address the credit rating issue also. Okay. So primarily these things has to be maintained. So when I say we want to understand the budget, we need to understand whether these things are addressed or not. Yes or no? So as
Yes, sir.
students of management, we should deal with that. Right? Of course, you by this time you must have studied various schemes or various proposals in the budget. So social media is flooded with those kind of analysis. But our analysis will be focusing on these key areas. Okay, friends. Now, if that is the situation, let us see what power a finance minister is having to address all these issues. How much discretionary power he is having, he or she is having. If you look at the budget, you can see most of the resources are already allocated to prior commitments. Meaning, allocated to prior commitments means meaning already there are commitments. So hardly there is any discretion of the finance minister. Meaning he cannot do anything. That money has to go. Such as interest payments are there that has to be paid. Salaries has to be paid. Pension has to be paid. So there is very limited space for discretionary spending. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Understood the situation? Now, if you
Yes, sir.
Yes.
have a look at
Yes, sir.
this quadrangle, this quadrangle actually explains the allocation of funds in the budget for various heads. If you see, such a big portion is going for what?
Interest.
Then you see
Interest.
defense,
Defense.
you see
Yes, sir.
subsidy,
Yes, sir.
you see pension,
Yes, sir.
you see transfer to states.
Yes, sir.
Money has to be given to the states. Home affairs. So if you see all these things taken together, you can say more than 50% is already booked. Hardly there is any discussion. So if at all I have to plan, I have to allocate some money definitely for social welfare, for health, for education, for transport, for IT. True, I have to allocate, but I have to keep in the mind that how much money is available. Within that, we have to allocate. Is it not? Can I
Yes,
say
sir.
this? Are you understanding the reality? This is the reality we have to
Yes, sir.
address. Okay.
Yes, sir.
This is we have to address the reality. This is the reality all of us should know. And this chart also, this is of course historical past data. It shows, you see, this green portion is the only money which is available within the discretionary power. All other things are already booked. Let us say interest payments are this portion. This is the historically you can see. Interest has to be incurred, defense expenditure has to be incurred, subsidy has to be incurred, salary, pension, everything has to be incurred. There is very limited scope to have discretionary expenditure. Okay. Now,
Yes, sir.
now next thing is that you're asking something. Okay, let me proceed. Now you see, now money has to be collected through various sources, and one of the major sources is tax collection. Is it not? And you know broadly there are two kinds of taxes. One is direct taxes, other one is indirect taxes. Direct tax, of course, all of us pay. Whenever we consume a goods or consume services, we pay indirect. We pay indirect tax. Indirect tax, all of us pay. Is it not? The moment you consume goods
Yes.
and services, we pay. Direct tax,
Yes.
some of us pays. Okay, direct tax means income tax. Indirect tax means let us say GST, customs duty, etc. right? So this statistic shows that let us say for 100 taxpayers, sorry, for 100 let us say voters, only 7 people of our country are paying direct tax, are paying income tax. That was the historical data, but of course now trend is increasing. Government is taking initiative that day by day more and more people should pay tax. Okay, so these are our 20 countries are compared, our peer countries, G20 countries, and here is India's position. It's such a limited number of people are paying taxes, meaning income tax. Indirect tax, all of us are paying, but direct tax, these many people are only paying. So this is again a big concern. So there is a need to address. Unless people pay tax, where from funds will be available to manage the
Mm.
soup? Okay,
Yes.
are you understanding this reality?
Yes, sir.
And finance minister also has addressed our tax system has to be transparent, efficient, and should promote investment and employment in our country. At the same time, it should put minimum burden on our taxpayers. So keeping everything in the mind, budget has to be prepared. Okay, right. So now you have understood that preparation of budget is not that simple. You have to, it's a very, you can say it's a kind of tight rope walk, right? You have to
Yes, sir.
manage the taxpayers, beneficiaries. You have to manage the rich and poor. You have to manage the short-term interest and long-term interest of the country. So many things has to be managed. You have to manage the politics also. So within that, somebody has to prepare the budget, and the finance minister is preparing budget in that kind of situation, right? Now, quickly we'll understand. Quickly, we need to know that why it is necessary to prepare a budget. As all of us know, uh, we know the importance of planning. Planning is essential. All of us do plan for our activities, isn't that? And if you read that under the Article 112 of the Constitution, a statement of estimated receipt and expenditure of the government of India has to be laid before Parliament in respect of every financial year, which runs from 1st April to 31st March. That means this particular article of the Constitution says that you have to estimate your receipt, you have to estimate your expenditure. Okay, and it has to be laid before Parliament for the financial year. So this is a requirement. You can say this is a constitutional requirement. And the statement is titled as annual financial statement, which we popularly call it as budget. Okay, so because of this requirement, every year there is a need to prepare. Now, budget will be talking about broadly what that to meet the entire expenditure for a year, where from I will be getting money, where that money will come from which sources and money will go to which sources. Is it that? That is what budget is about. And the current budget shows, you see, money is coming from these sources. So money comes from, these are the sources. You see, large part of money is coming from where? You compare this part. From which source?
Other liability.
Borrowing and other liability,
borrowings and other
30%.
liabilities.
Other
In
liability.
comparison to previous year, you see 20%, here 36% is coming from borrowings. Okay, corporation tax, previous year it was 18, here it is 13. Corporation tax is decreased. Income tax, you see 17, here it is 14. This year it is decreased. Okay, so this broadly shows you where from money is coming. So money is broadly coming from borrowings and other liabilities, corporation tax, income tax, customs, union excise duty, goods and services tax, non-tax revenue like interest, etc., non-debt capital receipts. So like this, money is coming from these sources. Understood? This is the size of budget. So these are, you can say, primary sources. And money goes to these sources, centrally sponsored schemes, central sector schemes, interest payments. You see, large part of money goes to interest payment, 20%. Previous year, it was 18%. Defense, right? Finance commission, like this, state share, pensions, other expenditure. This is where money goes to. Okay, this is for the
Yes.
current budget. This is the current budget, and this small pie chart you are seeing, this is for the previous budget. This is for 21-22. This is for 2021. You can have a comparison. Okay,
Yes, sir.
now let us look at the budget. This is how budget looks like. Okay, you can say budget at a glance. You can say there is something called as capital receipt. Capital receipt figures are here. This last column is about budget estimate for 21-22. These are for comparison purposes. Previous data are given. You see the revenue receipt, there is capital receipt, and both the receipt taken together, this is capital. Okay, total receipt is this one. Then total expenditure has these components, these totals are here. Okay, if you compare, this is the total receipt and this is the size of the budget. This is in crores, rupees in crores. Okay, that means 34,83,236 crores. This is the total receipt. And you see, this is the total expenditure. How much? You see exactly same. This is the total expenditure, this is the total receipt. Okay,
Yes, sir.
understood? Other components will be seen. Now you see, first we'll see revenue receipts. You see tax revenue, non-tax revenue. Then capital receipt, recoveries from loans, other receipts, borrowing, and other liabilities. All taken together is my total receipt. Okay, let us break up that total receipt. As you have seen, budget has got two components. One is expenditure, one is receipt. Okay, receipt part, if you say capital receipt and revenue receipt. Revenue receipt has got two components, tax revenue, non-tax revenue. Capital receipt has got three components, that is recoveries from loan, other receipts, borrowing, and other liabilities. Okay,
Yes, sir.
understood? This is the structure of the receipt side of the budget.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now, coming to the, you look at this. This is how the receipt side, if you compare, revenue receipt has gone up. Capital receipt has come down comparison to last time. Total receipt has gone up. Okay, just have a look at this. And coming to expenditure side, you see, this is the structure on revenue account, on capital account. Revenue account, you can find out, includes revenue accounts, that figure includes grants for creation of capital asset, and also it includes interest. This is the structure of expenditure. Okay, now look at this figure which talks about expenditure. You see, total expenditure is you can say increased. Okay, but expenditure revenue account has come down. This includes two things, interest payments and grants for creation of capital asset. And capital expenditure has gone up compared to the previous year. This is the status. This is the, you can say, current budget situation. Okay, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Well, friends, now quickly we'll see. Now, effect of this expenditure and income is that either we may end up with deficit, surplus, or balanced. Okay, it can be deficit budget, surplus budget, or balanced budget. But surplus budget and balanced budget is really rare. So normally we face a kind of budget which is called as a deficit budget. And when there is a deficit, we classify them like this: revenue deficit and or capital deficit and capital deficit. Revenue deficit means revenue expenditure you have already seen minus revenue receipt. Okay, revenue expenditure minus revenue receipt is the revenue receipt. Okay, and there is something is derived from revenue receipt is also called as effective revenue receipt. What is effective revenue receipt? Revenue receipt minus grants for creation of capital asset. So this is derived figure. Grants for creation of capital asset will get it effective revenue receipt. Okay, out of this revenue receipt, if you deduct grants for creation of capital assets, if some grants are given for creating capital asset, that will be removed from the revenue deficit, and effectively you will be getting effective revenue receipt. Similarly, if capital receipt means what? Revenue receipt, then we'll add certain non-debt capital receipts. Non-debt capital receipts will be added. Then certain then what we'll do? Less total expenditure, including loans. So revenue receipt, then non-debt capital receipts will be added. Then total expenditure, including loan, has to be deducted. We will be getting the fiscal deficit. Fiscal deficit represents the entire deficit. That means what is the total shortage of money which needs to be borrowed. let me explain you once again. This fiscal deficit is the entire money which needs to be borrowed. A component of the fiscal deficit is referred to as primary deficit. Primary deficit is what? Fiscal deficit minus interest payments. If you remove interest payments from the fiscal deficit, what we'll be getting? We'll be getting primary deficit. So primary deficit, you can say part of fiscal deficit. Okay. Similarly, effective revenue deficit is a part of revenue deficit. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Let me try to explain you once again with the help of this. The definition of these deficits are explained here. What is revenue deficit? What is effective revenue deficit? What is fiscal deficit? Then what is the primary deficit? It is explained here. You can pause the recorded video and read it later on. All that you have to remember, fiscal deficit remembers the total borrowing requirements. Total borrowing requirements is the fiscal deficit. Okay. And you see, this is our revenue stat. These are deficit statistics for 21-22. This much is the fiscal deficit. This is the revenue deficit. This is the effective revenue deficit. This is the primary deficit. Okay, and what is coming in the bracket? It shows the percentage of GDP. And GDP for the budget estimate of 21-22 is estimated to be this figure, 222,87379 crores. And this amount is 6.8% of that GDP. This is how it is estimated. Fiscal deficit, revenue deficit, effective revenue deficit, and primary deficit. Okay, once again, I'll try to explain you. The entire deficit, as you know, is the fiscal deficit. That means what? That is the borrowing requirement. We have to borrow money up to that. That amount needs to be borrowed. Okay, and part of this is the primary deficit. What is primary deficit? Fiscal deficit minus interest payment. That means for paying interest, we need to borrow something. So that is our primary deficit. Fiscal deficit minus interest payments.
Interest payment.
Okay. And what is revenue deficit? Is a part of, again, total fiscal deficit that contains revenue expenditure minus revenue receipt. Okay. And this part of revenue receipt is effective revenue deficit. Part of revenue deficit is effective revenue deficit, which means revenue deficit minus grant for creation of capital asset. Okay. This is the meaning of all the four kinds of deficits, and you have already seen the statistics. And these are the figures you have already seen in the budget. You can again have a look. Okay, this is the deficit we are having. Okay, friends, let me proceed. Once again, I am showing you these various deficits figure, you see. And this last column shows the percentage of this deficit to the GDP. For better understanding, let me show you the chart. You see, this is the size of fiscal deficit, this is the size of revenue deficit, this is the size of effective revenue deficit, and this is the size of primary deficit. Okay. If you compare it with our GDP, you can see this is the GDP size is this much, and these are the various parts. This is the size of various deficits. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Just have some idea. And let us quickly analyze what is the trend of these deficits. You see, our deficit was, you see, normally this is the range 3 to 4%. Okay. In as per revised estimate of 2021, it had gone off. Right. All the deficit figures are here. Fiscal deficit has gone up to 9.5%. But in this budget, it's estimated to be 6.8. That means nearly 7%. Fiscal deficit is there. This is the total borrowing, 7% of our GDP. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now we have understood there is a fiscal deficit. Now, not only we have to understand that thing, we also need to understand what is the impact of fiscal deficit. First, you see, to understand the impact, we need to know that fiscal deficit means money has to be borrowed. Is it not? Now, what is more important here is borrowed at what cost? That means what is the rate of interest we have to pay to borrow that money? So borrowing cost will increase. Okay, if there is a continuous fiscal deficit with the kind of credit rating we have, borrowing cost will increase. And when government borrows, less scope of borrowing is available for private sector. As a result, what happens? Friends, try to understand. When borrowing cost is increasing and everybody is trying to borrow, cost of capital will increase. We need capital to do any business, and cost of capital will increase. When cost of capital increase, then manufacturing will not be that competitive. It's very difficult because large part of the cost will be your cost of capital. Your manufacturing cost may be less, but interest cost is more. Cost of capital is more. It's very difficult to manufacture. When manufacturing will be difficult, then what will happen? You have to depend on import. Import increases. When import increases, it affects your trade balance. That means import is more, export is less. Consequently, repaying capacity of people decreases. Consequently, rating of the country again reduced. Cost of capital in cost of debt increases further. Friends, time will not allow us to continue further. What we'll do, we'll take a break now. Okay, we'll catch up. Just allow me we'll take a break of maybe 10 minutes. Then again we'll catch up. Okay, so that we can complete the discussion. Okay, we have already at this stage. So at this stage, I'll just take a break for 10 minutes. Thanks a lot. What I'll do, we'll again catch up very shortly. In 10-15 minutes, we're going to catch up. Okay, is it okay for you?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. So we will join after 15 minutes.
Okay, sir.
to
Yeah,
this
please
place.
join after 15 minutes. We'll continue. That is our second phase of
Okay.
our discussion. Okay,
Okay,
right.
sir, okay.
Uh,
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks a
sir.
lot.